Welcome to a very special Halloween episode of Big Boys. In this episode, we discuss the 1990 classic Ernest Scared Stupid, starring Jim Varney. Join us and find out why we consider this movie a timeless Halloween classic. Know what I mean?
Prepare to be mesmerized and or mortified.
Well, what's happening there?
Old Sorrel's here had himself a nap.
You son of a...
Yeah, clever. Kind of soft and only like in one ear.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
Look at those boys, ain't they
Big Boys with Brian Hickey and John the Great. Welcome to another spooktacular episode of the Big Boys podcast. I'm your host, Brian Hickey. With me, as always, is my cohort in spookiness, Sir John the Great.
Yes.
Way to attribute. Really earning that co-host title. This is our bonus Halloween episode, in case you guys weren't able to tell, ladies and gentlemen.
Halloween.
Yes, it's tis the season for the weenin'.
I guess.
Way to go with the flow, bud. Way to go with the flow. So we watched ourselves for this very special Halloween. I talked to John saying, "Hey, let's get a couple bonus episodes queued up. Maybe we'll do one for Halloween, one for Christmas. We pretty much got our Christmas one decided, but hey, you know what? Let's go with like an old Halloween one that everyone knows, like Friday the 13th." And he responded back with, "How about Ernest Scared Stupid?"
Everyone does Friday the 13th. Come on, we're trying to set ourselves apart.
And you know what? As much as I had to grit my teeth, I had to agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, and this is definitely more in our wheelhouse. You know what I mean? This is something near and dear to your heart. I certainly have a soft spot for Jim Varney and in all the Ernest movies. He's our redneck Pee Wee Herman.
I would describe him more as a Southern fried Robin Williams.
I suppose. I mean, he is a fantastic actor. Don't get me wrong. But I guess what I was getting at is that, in the essence of like, also, the guy who played Pee Wee Herman, his name escapes me. But R.I.P. to both him and
Paul Reubens,
and Robin Williams. Man, in the spooktacular episode, we're talking about a bunch of dead, big, talented actors.
Yeah.
But Paul Reubens and Jim Varney were known for making children's movies and or television shows.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I was going to make.
Yeah.
And watching this, I kind of noticed that, like, man, there's a lot of tropes. Like, and we'll get to that later when we get to reviewing the movie. But first and foremost, John, what's new with you? What's new with your junk?
Not a whole lot. You know, like I said, other than I was looking for a dentist because not that I have a problem, but I'd like to not have a problem. You know, I just was realizing I haven't been to the dentist in a very long time, so I should probably do that.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think how it works is if you don't think about it, then you're totally fine.
You know what? You're actually onto something. There's actually a philosophy for life involving that. It's called Step 1.
Trying at 40.
Yeah. Step 1, you have a problem. Okay. Step 2, you don't care. So then Step 3, no longer have a problem. Yeah, if you don't care, you don't have a problem.
Dead at the ripe old age of 43.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I got yeah. Speaking of just health issues or whatever, like, yeah, it's been a heck of a day. Although I can't really tell so much now with these headphones on, but man, my ear is like feeling all sorts of swollen. But again, I'm just gonna ignore it, and the problem's gonna go away.
Hopefully, just pour some alcohol in there and hope it gets better.
I definitely need to get some eardrops or something like that.
Yeah.
But what else is new? You got your teeth are falling out. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's spooky.
Well, I'm trying to keep them from falling out. What was it? Oh yeah, I've been trying to work on a tendonitis issue, my Achilles tendon that's been bothering me for a long time. So I'm trying to work through that. I joined a gym, so I'm trying to become the ever impressive.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, I started back on my push-ups again. I know I said I had started doing. I had gotten in the routine. This is what happens. Is like I was in the routine of getting up to like 200 or something, like every other day or so, and I had done it for a couple months, and then I worked construction with a buddy of mine out here, and that put an immediate halt to any exercising for like.
Well, then you're doing physical labor. That's its own exercise.
But honestly, dude, it was only like I did that like for probably like a week or two. But I will give myself the caveat that after that, I immediately moved from Crenshaw to here. And so then it was just, kind of getting back into the groove of being in a new place, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But now I'm back up to doing, I don't know. I'm getting older and, you just eventually, the older you get and the ambitions that are still there, like something's gotta give. Like now I'm just shooting. I used to just want to be, like the cuttest, rippedest bastard you've ever seen. Now I just want to, feel comfortable when I sit down.
Yeah, you're speaking to the choir there. I know exactly how you feel.
That seems like an achievable goal.
Yeah, I just like to get to the point to where like my belt buckle doesn't hurt my stomach when I sit down for extended periods of time.
Preach on, brother, man.
Yeah.
Preach on.
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta, it's over there. I was show it to you, but my tattered belt buckle, man. Oh.
Although that being said, I wouldn't mind having the like Stallone from like Rocky 3 and like Rambo 2 physique.
Oh, you wouldn't turn it away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he was just like extremely ripped. Like he wasn't like bulky like Schwarzenegger was, but he was just like chiseled,
Sure.
Extremely lean.
I'm going to go on a limb here and say that I don't think anyone would mind having that physique. I don't think that was the point I was getting at.
Yeah.
I think the point I was making was that I don't
setting realistic goals.
Yeah, setting realistic goals and managing the time that I have and effort I could put in. And yes, like that's nothing taken away from Mr. Stallone and the work he put in his body for the movie. Tremendous work. But I will say, giving him the caveat is that was his job, was to look like that.
I mean, that's true. If somebody was paying me several $1 million for movie roles, I would get in shape in a hurry because I would have like a guy planning all my meals. I would have a training partner living with me. I'd be like, hey, you're going to move into my place. And I'm going to pay you to like, this is going to become a lifestyle. Like,
Well, just call me when you're ready for that training montage.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know as soon as I get several $1 million. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we're just weeks away.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, back to our spooktacular movie we're reviewing here this week. We're reviewing Ernest Scared Stupid, which is would you say your favorite movie of the Ernest movies?
No, I would not say that.
What would you say is your favorite?
Easily Ernest Saves Christmas. I think that is objectively the best one.
I watched Ernest Goes to Jail a few years before.
That's probably my second favorite.
Yeah, and it just like it goes like I don't know. If I wasn't like such like if Jim Varney wasn't so endearing, like I would, I don't know, I probably would be like scoffing at the films or whatever. But like honestly, just no.
Jim Varney really pulls it off. Yeah,
for sure. I was gonna say I almost sounded like a Gen Zer. No cap. I don't think I'm using that right. But no cap. Jim Varney is a fantastic character actor. No cap, fam.
Well, that's what I thought was really good about Scared Stupid. Now, he always fits in other little characters he does in these movies. Yeah. But in this one, you really got to see like several of them. Like when they were fighting the bullies off in the treehouse.
Yeah, and we're okay. I keep on getting this. Pump the brakes, kid. We got ourselves a ChatGPT sketch that we got to do first.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and this one, I gotta admit that like this is the easy right pickings because obviously, it's Ernest or Jim Varney is Ernest in these kids movies where he's always hanging out with kids. And he's never like his sexuality is never addressed. You never know if he's into like women. You never know like if he is this guy heterosexual, homosexual, asexual, most likely asexual, right? Is that am I saying that
Au
right?
contraire, he has a crush on I think he does. I need to rewatch it. One of the women at the bank in Ernest Goes to Jail.
But I don't know that it's
I don't know. It's kind of played off as like a little bit more of a platonic thing, but I know at one point he's really nervous because he's trying to get in that movie trying to get promoted from janitor to bank clerk. And she invites him to dinner to talk about it, and he's like, "Oh, both of us together at the same place at the same time, possibly the same table." Like,
Yeah, but I don't necessarily that denotes like any sexuality from old Ernie.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I really wanted to do, and sticking with our theme of Halloween and everything, it was like, what would have been, I think, the far more hilarious one if chat would have, not been hindered by its goddamn guidelines. The people who run ChatGPT, listen, hear me now. I am disappointed. Did you know, Johnny Boy,
Probably not.
that ChatGPT cannot write anything like, I mean, I knew that it says like nothing like sexual innuendos or violence or anything like that. But I basically just said, write me an Ernest movie or Ernest, scared stupid movie. But if it was like an actual horror film, like such as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Ernest would be Leatherface. Because I thought that would be hilarious if he's just like, you hear him like, you know what I mean, Vern?
Yeah.
Chainsaw to someone's face, but it refused to write it. Hands down, refused to. I had this whole back and forth with this AI, and like, come on, like, like, it's not like, at most that's like PG-13. Like you're writing this, you're not showing like a lot of those movies. The crass or not even crass, but like the aspects of it that's saying like,
the R-rated aspects of the violence. Yeah.
It's all visual.
Yeah.
So you're writing it. So it's not like, but anyways, so it couldn't do that for me. So we settled for, the easier, low hanging fruit of, oh, what's Ernest's sexuality? Like that joke's never been made before, But anyways, with that, I digress. Johnny, I'm feeling it like I'm in a giving mood right now. I know that Ernest is your man. You once went dressed up him as Halloween about 10 years ago.
I did. Unfortunately, that costume's still at my parents', but I still have the vest and the hat somewhere.
Why is it at your parents'?
Oh yeah, I don't need it over here. I was still living there when I went as Ernest, so it stayed in the closet.
Is that right? Did we go there? I thought we went there after we all moved in. No, I guess we were all still. I had just come back from college. And so that was before we moved together. Holy, thank you. So it's been over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, time. Okay, so you're going to be Ernest P. Worrell, and I don't know that there's any other because this is actually a second draft because I told it like have the trope characters in there of Ernest and Tom and Bobby, and then of course Vern. But then it wrote Vern as like someone who responds. So I was like, well, hold up now, chatty boy. Clearly you don't know the Ernest films because Vern is us, the audience,
Yeah.
So I was like, he wouldn't respond. And so you might only be the only person talking in this draft now that I'm looking at it. So if that's the case, I will.
So this is like a monologue.
Yeah. If that's the case, I'm just going to go ahead and read the directions then. Okay.
Okay.
So this is our ChatGPT sketch, Ernest Scared Sexually. Oh, and character is Ernest P. Worrell and Vern the audience. Scene: Ernest is sitting alone addressing the camera, aka Vern. That's you, bud.
Well, Vern, I've been thinking lately, about stuff like love and attraction.
Vern the camera remains silent, serving as Ernest's audience.
I mean, Vern, I've never been really one to figure all them fancy feelings and such. I'm just a simple guy, you know? Got my trusty dog, Rimshot, and a garage full of knickknacks.
Ernest starts pacing around.
But folks talk about being attracted to someone, and I just can't help but wonder, am I doing something wrong, Vern? I ain't never kissed a girl or a fella or even a frog for that matter.
Ernest sits down looking genuinely perplexed.
It's like trying to figure out a Rubik's Cube with one hand tied behind my back.
Vern, the camera, continues to silently capture Ernest's musings.
But you know what, Vern? Maybe that's okay. I don't need to fit in some fancy box. Maybe I'll just keep on being me. See where life takes me.
Ernest smiles at the camera, addressing Vern directly.
Thanks for listening, Vern. You're a good friend, even if you don't say much.
The sketch ends with Ernest giving a friendly wave to the camera, Vern, emphasizing the idea that it's all right to be oneself with no rush to figuring out complex matters like sexuality. All right, wasn't too bad. I'm still disappointed in you ChatGPT developers.
That was more like Ernest doing an after-school PSA about like, remember, kids, wait till you're married. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, listeners, viewers, if you guys know of like a AI thing that is, you know, available to the public that does not have as many regulations bogging it down, such as ChatGPT, please do write us in or let us know. Let me know particularly, because I would love to give that a whirl rather than just, you know, being tied down by the man. You know what I mean, John?
I know what you mean.
So anyways, that was our Ernest Scared Sexually. And let me read you, see if I, you know, let's see if it's worth reading here. Nah, it's not really. It's just, yeah, it's just dog doo-doo. Okay, so with that said, I'd say it's time we go on to reviewing our Ernest Scared Stupid.
The main course, as it were.
Indeed, sir. Indeed, the main dish of our spooktacular episode.
Ooh.
Insert lightning bolts.
What was that? Oh yeah, that must be drama. Boo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Ghost and horse.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, you watched this movie? When'd you watch it?
Earlier today, actually.
Okay, yeah. So I watched it when I sent you those notes, which was probably like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
And then I kind of watched the first half of it again when I was getting everything set up, just to kind of give myself a refresher. But out the gate, once again, this is a kids movie.
Oh, this one's definitely more kiddie. Yeah. I mean, they all are, but
they're all very kiddie. But and I don't know if this is the same production group that that invests in all these films, but one of the first title cards for this children's movie is produced by a production team called Touchwood Pacific Partners.
Oh yeah.
Do we ever did marketing ever have a meeting on like, should we rebrand if we're going to be mostly appealing like to families and like, hey, we got some great Touchwood Pacific Partners has some great media for your 6-year-old.
Well, I know it was distributed by Touchstone. So this almost makes it seem like they were just trying to be like, okay, well, Touchstone's taken, so what else? Let's do Touchwood. And then, and then they were like, yeah, that sounds great, Johnson. All right. Yeah.
Of course, Johnson thinks it's
Of course, yeah.
Goddamn pervert. Fucking Peter Johnson coming up with Touchwood Pacific Park. Touchwood Pacific Park. No, Pacific, Johnson. That's what I said.
What'd be funny is then like him eventually in the office be like, Johnson, I'm starting to think that you know what you're doing here. You know? Like, yeah.
You got me. You got old Johnson boy. Yeah, there's just like there's that and like the story writers and I believe I can't remember who's who, but it was the producing team is the main two producing partners have like very odd names for at least when you put them together they seem it's like they're team Cherry Coke. It's John Cherry and Coke Sam's.
Yeah, I want to say John Cherry did just about all the Ernest movies.
Okay, was he responsible for like the PSAs too?
Yes, I want to say he was like a partial creator along with Jim Varney for like creating the character of Ernest.
Who gets credit for Ernest P. World? Do they both like get it or?
That's a good question.
All right. Well, while you're looking that up,
I'm looking it up.
So yes, our we have a screaming girl. Like after we get through the the kind of questionable production company names, we open up with Ernest is in like all the old horror films of like of the what era would that be? I guess probably like the like the early dawn of
all those. I actually looked this up earlier. Those were all from like the 30s and the 50s.
Well, they were all, more importantly, they were all public domain.
Yeah.
So, which was actually like, I mean, especially for the tech at the time, it was just easier. Like basically they just had Ernest on a backdrop and he's just making a bunch of weird faces and then they cut to actual clips of the film.
Clips of that and he's just kind of reacting.
Yeah, rather than him being in the middle of the film, which is probably more something they would do today,
Yeah. But I mean, let's face it, Ernest could like facial expressions. Jim Varney, like he really could have that down. Like
his character, I mean, yes, like I feel like he doesn't get as appreciated enough just because it's a kid's film and he is doing outlandish characters. But like, dude, even like, not in this movie in particular, but back to Ernest Goes to Jail. His, the guy that he gets mistaken for, the other,
Nash.
Jim Varney. Yeah. That like in some ways, like that's a very grounded character. Like I could see that guy like if I didn't know that Jim Varney was Ernest P. Worrell and was known for all that, if I saw Nash in an episode of what's that HBO prison show?
Oh, Oz.
Yeah, if I saw Nash in Oz, I would be like totally believable guy.
Well, and let's think about it. Ernest
him and the yellow M&M are running shit.
Think if you go to that one, Ernest Goes to Jail. Nash was getting the death sentence. That dude was a killer, and like Ernest, like you believe that Nash is a bad guy when you watch that.
Yeah. Again, Jim Varney, charismatic as hell, and I'm also curious because I know obviously this stems from, as we mentioned just a second ago, from the old PSAs in the '80s that they eventually, it got so popular that they made it into a movie, almost kind of like the first more successful version of like the Geico Caveman. But like was Jim Varney, just because also like he's able to do so many different characters and he's able to do so much, as you said, with his face, but also his voice. Yeah, man, he's able to do so much with his voice. Was he doing like? Is he known for any other like voice acting work? Because like he's so like he was the voice of. Well, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, he was his last role released. I think it might have actually released after he died. Was the voice of Cookie in Atlantis. He was the cook. The one that was like your 4 food groups or your bacon, your beans, your lard. You remember?
I haven't seen that movie since I was.
He was also the voice of a Slinky Dog in the first 2 Toy Stories.
Yes, he was. Was. Okay. Yeah. So again, just I know we're running in circles already, but like, guys, appreciate Jim Varney.
It not only was his death just very tragic anyway, cancer and died at the age of 50, but it was like he died like right about the time he was starting to kind of break free of the Ernest box, like get more appreciated as an actor.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's too sad.
Yeah.
But so yeah, after Ernest is in every public domain film of the early sound era of cinema. Then we cut to a screaming girl running away from a troll, and you know, one would think that this child would be terrified out of her mind, but I gotta assume this is either John Cherry or Sam or Coke Sam's kid, because that little girl is having too good of a goddamn time just running away.
Oh yeah, you mean when the villagers throw the net over him over Tantor?
She is all smiles.
Yeah,
It's like, which again, kids movie, and she's like, but I'm not even faulting it, because obviously, like, critiquing this movie too hard is like, that's obviously 35-year-old man, not the audience it's geared for.
yeah. But oh yeah, this one's very much a kids movie. All the Ernest ones are, but this one's definitely a little goofier.
Well, even with that trope, that aspect of it, like I would say that's really the only kid I was like, all right, this is clearly like all the other kids acting were like, okay, they're playing their part, they're taking it like they're not. I'm not seeing on their face like, can you believe we're in a film?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That was the only one. It was that little girl and I gotta assume she was a producer's kid, who is now probably a 40-year-old lady. Because you gotta also think about that too. This is 91.
Yeah,
all these kids are like 5 or
the main girl Elizabeth, yeah, she's like 40 now. So
yeah. Hey, 40-year-old lady who was an overexcited 4-year-old.
Yeah,
get your shit together. Oh man. Either daughter of John Cherry or Coke Sam's. I know it was one of them.
Yeah.
Or maybe
overall, I think this is it's definitely a fun movie for this type of year.
Well, it is an 90s era film. It has a lot of the tropes, as I mentioned before when we did Trojan War, of like, everyone's moving, like they do a lot of ramping speed. Like,
yeah.
Like it wasn't like, couldn't that shit just die with Benny Hill? But no, we gotta keep it going in the 90s.
Oh yeah, like at the end when they're fighting all the trolls and he's like running around the treehouse and they're chasing him. That was like right out of Benny Hill. Like
yeah. Let's see here. Murdoch, mullet wearing badass. How much else to say about that?
Yeah. I did think it was funny that the stereotypical 80s and 90s bullies, you got a fat kid with a mullet. Like, yep, you don't even have to tell me. That's the bully right there.
That would have been something because they really turned it on its head, and Murdoch's what? And his name is Murdoch like that, but he's a kid getting his ass kicked everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, fuck him up, Winston.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's the kid with glasses, the first one that gets turned to the wood figurine. He's actually the bully.
Exactly. Spice it up, kids' movies. Yeah. All right, I already forgot. What were you looking up? Did you find what we were looking for?
Oh yeah. So Varney created the character, but it was in partnership with John Cherry, who I guess owned an advertising agency.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it says created by Varney with the national advertising agency Carden and Cherry, and used in various local television ad campaigns.
Well, there you go.
Speaking of which, I did notice in this movie, all the milk and dairy that you see is from Purity, which is one of the companies, Purity Dairy, that Ernest used to do a commercial for.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he used to do commercials for Purity milk.
So it was a real product then?
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, cool.
So that was basically product placement, but yeah.
They don't exist anymore, I don't think, because I've never heard of it.
They may not be around anymore, or so maybe they're small, like a local.
They're unpurified.
And they still got a website. Purity Dairy has been providing Nashville families with fresh, delicious dairy for over 95 years. So they're probably just in the Nashville area, would be my guess.
Probably, regional company then,
yeah.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And then, of course, we cut to present day. And, oh, man, the 90s. I miss them. Back in the day where you can just, the trash man will just take your entire muffler.
Yeah.
And throw it in the bin.
Yeah, they didn't care. Just if you left it out by the street, didn't matter if it was a car. It was going in the back of the truck.
It's like, want to throw your catalytic converter in there while you're at it?
Yeah.
We'll get an extra fella over here and we'll see if we could just do the whole axle.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I saw that, I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot. Like, and that is, that's not even far-fetched, because if I'm memory does, it serves correctly, this kid's childhood I believe we probably did like throw away some fucking car parts in the trash, for sure.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, good times, man. Good times, childhood. Oh, and yeah, so of course we have the we have introduction to Kenny and the other two kids. I forget their names. But Kenny's the lead kid. He's the one who fought. He's the one who's the Ernest's closest camaraderie with, and I suspect that the issue there is that Kenny might be also, going to be diagnosed in the future with multiple personalities or schizophrenia, as Ernest is. Because if we think about it in the world that the cinema portrays to us, and I was thinking about this way longer than I should have. It's known to Kenny and the rest of the kids that Ernest has multiple personalities, or he does all these different characters and stuff. But when we see from Kenny's perspective of Ernest doing all the different, personalities, Ernest is in all the costumes, but the only time he's in all those costumes is when it cuts from Kenny looking at Ernest. So therefore,
so it's like
Kenny,
that's how he sees him.
Kenny is seeing him in all these characters.
Yeah.
And because he's also, so taken with Ernest and hanging with him so much, he also does Ernest's John Wayne impression. So therefore, I would have to suspect in this realm of world, Kenny is a huge fucking disappointment to his parents.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can see throughout the whole movie, his dad didn't take anything he said seriously.
Yeah.
Not a word.
Like, Kenny, you were supposed to do better than this. It's like when your mom died prematurely because of that whole troll incident, just got to her heart. And she was afraid every Halloween that something else would come up. She asked you to make something yourself, but God damn it, you just followed Ernest's footsteps and you became a trash man in Briarville.
Dude, that being said, his dad was pretty slow too. Like, I get that you're not going to believe just the first time, oh, there's a troll. Like, okay, yeah, whatever. But even towards the end of the film, once all the villagers, all the people in town had seen the troll at the Halloween party, and we're like, we have to stop this thing. His dad is still acting all confused, like, whoa, everybody slow down. What are you talking about? Like, how are you? You're the sheriff. How are you the last to know? Like,
I'll tell you why he's the last to know, John.
Yeah.
It's because he and the mayor are so goddamn power hungry. They had all the power in that town. They didn't care about, anyone's personal safety. Did you catch the line in there where the mayor tells him, hey, if Ernest doesn't do, doesn't clean up whatever old lady, such Eartha Kitt's house.
Yeah.
And the mayor tells this to the sheriff, fire him.
Yeah.
Like, now I know this is a small town, but even it wasn't even nowhere near small of the town as the one we grew up in. Yeah. I mean, Springtown's probably about the size of Briarville is now today, but when we grew up in it, it was even smaller than this. Now, no police officer had the power to, that's like a cop's wet dream.
Oh yeah, to just come onto your property and throw all your stuff away?
To just first be like, well, first I'm going to arrest you. Then I'm going to fire you.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm going to throw all your stuff away.
Yeah. So once you're in jail, you're going to be fired. You're not going to be able to collect any more paychecks to buy your way out of jail.
But that's okay. You get 3 meals in jail.
Yeah. And then he just squats over Ernest in the prison, just like, you get what I'm saying, Ernest?
Dude, that would be a perfect segue to Ernest goes to jail.
Yeah. If you don't keep watching my kid for free, Ernest, if you don't keep Kenny around all the times, I will fucking own you.
Dude, but honestly, if Ernest wanted to, I was thinking of this too. I would have stuck it to the mayor after I was proved right and I took down the troll. I'd have been like, oh, mayor, in front of everybody, you fired me. I'd be like, like Ernest should run for mayor. Take that guy's job.
Yeah, but one has to argue and for the sake of the storyline of this great piece of cinema, that if Ernest were to have that streak of wanting to have some vendetta in his heart, he would not have been a child pure of heart who
That's
was able
true.
to get rid of, take away all the trolls because of his
The
pure.
Ernest character is always supposed to be like that childlike heart of gold.
Yeah. And he doesn't diddle your kids.
Yeah. Even though he's hanging out with them in the treehouse.
Oh,
But that's Ernest, like he wouldn't. Thought would never occur to him.
I don't want to go down a dark tunnel here, but I feel like that's what every parent says about every person who violated their children. Like, that's just Pete. That was just Pete.
Yeah. He
We
would
didn't
never do
think he
that.
was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously,
I didn't read. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I was going to say Ernest kills it, but the other great actor who I forgot I missed so much, Eartha Kitt. What a
Yeah.
delight in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Love her in this. Obviously, Emperor's New Groove. She's great. I'd love to see like some of her earlier work because obviously I've only seen her in the later stages where she's just kind of playing these more outlandish characters. I'd love to because I suspect, probably in like the 50s, whatever, she's probably playing like really grounded, characters.
Yeah.
Probably love interest or whatever. But now she's just, yeah. I can't do a good Eartha Kitt
Playing more like
impression.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's either complaining about somebody, letting some dark curse out, or she's cursing somebody else.
Yeah.
She's-
She's providing the curse.
Yeah. She's either worried about the trolls getting out or the llamas not staying put.
I completely forgot until you wrote it in the note here that she was the voice of Yzma in Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, I recognize her from somewhere, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
Well, they even drew the character to look. I feel like the character has a very striking resemblance to Eartha Kitt in Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Of all the voice actors that are, I don't think David Spade looks like a llama.
No, not quite.
See, what else do we have here? So yeah, they're putting up the tree house to keep the old the mullet wearing Murdochs at bay. Which, dear God, man, these bullies, the Murdochs, man, they go hard in the paint.
Yeah.
Most bullies just like hey, I'll get you when I see you again next at school, or I happen to come upon you. These guys are tracking them.
Yeah, tracking them down, ripped down their haunted house. Like, didn't just like egg it or something. Like, ripped it down.
They're committing like their whole lives into this bullyhood. Like,
Yeah.
It's scary in one hand, but commendable in the other. Like, if you're gonna do something, go all the way for it.
Yeah.
Like they sacrificed their whole Halloween. They went with costumes that they knew were going to be. They didn't decide what their costumes were going to be until they knew it was going to inflict fear into the kids they were bullying. Like, okay, they're afraid of trolls. So we're going to go with the troll costumes.
Oh, that's right. They did have troll costumes. Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the kid that was Dracula?
That was his little brother. That was smaller Murdoch.
Yeah.
But he wasn't Dracula until after. Like, first they had to be trolls because
Yeah. Because they had to try and strike fear into the other kids' hearts. Yeah.
I get it. I mean, it's a small town. You gotta make sure that your reign stays supreme. Because otherwise, people talk.
Yeah.
Like, oh, guess some Murdoch boy. Heard about them Murdoch boys? No. Guess they ain't doing no more bullying no more.
Yeah.
No.
Bobby was back, but they had Tom in this one instead of Chuck.
Okay, so I like Tom. I couldn't, dude. I honestly, okay. I thought there was a difference there. Like, I like both actors. I like Chuck and Tom. Because Chuck is in
Goes
Ernest.
to jail and saves Christmas.
Okay. Is Chuck as much of a swindling piece of shit as Tom?
No, Chuck is usually more like talking and more like, well, this place wouldn't get off the ground if it wasn't for me. Because like in Saves Christmas, him and Bobby are like loaders, cargo loaders at the airport. And, you know, that's what he's complaining about, is talking about, like, you know, without us, this airline wouldn't get off the ground. Bobby, you know, he was like, who works on Christmas Eve? That's us. Who, you know, like, and they're the ones where the reindeer come in that Ernest has to pick up. Now, in Goes to Jail, they're malls or bank security guards that take it way too seriously. Like,
you know, I was going to say, because I until you said that, I didn't realize, like, because they have a very similar presence and, you know, the similar characters, Tom and Chuck. But, you know, Bobby, get your own goddamn personality, because, like, buddy, you can't just start hanging out with, you know, whichever way the wind blows. Because, Bobby, you were being a piece of shit right there with Tom. I mean, the whole town is getting fucking decimated by trolls.
And they're trying to make a buck off of
All
it.
they're
Like,
caring about is taking some photos
yeah.
and selling the pictures. All your neighbors, your friends,
are literally getting killed. And, like, yeah.
And Tom's all fucking smiles.
I think they're supposed to be brothers. Because I know, like, Chuck and Bobby are also supposed to be brothers. At least they are in Ernest Goes to Jail. I don't know if it ever says in Saves Christmas.
Oh, well, I guess Tom is clearly the bad brother.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got a terrible influence on Bobby. Because Bobby was just right along there with him.
Bobby is always kind of he never says a whole lot.
No, again, they're like the redneck Penn and Teller without the magic.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way to say it. Yeah, redneck Penn and Teller, but no magic. Yeah.
Yeah, no magic, more swindling.
Yeah.
Oh, just goddamn, yeah. And then the son of a bitch, after just not making no effort to help save the town, and only feeling an inkling of emotion when his film camera gets destroyed. Then
it's eating his film or whatever.
Yeah. Then this no damn piece of shit Tom takes it upon himself, when the Ernest and Kenny save the day. Who starts a fucking slow clap? How fucking dare you, Tom?
Yeah, you didn't do a thing.
Yeah. No, let someone else have that moment. Like, wow, these guys, they really pulled forward for us, guy. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
Now I see here you have in the notes the line, "Do rattlesnakes kiss carefully?" That was.
Dude, there was honestly some good good lines here that, like, they just caught me by surprise. And the one that did it for me again today, but it's Eartha Kitt's showing him, you know, the old book which has the lore of, you know, the trolls and, like, you know, the curse and all that. And she finishes telling him the whole thing. And is there any more pictures?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it all just goes over his head. Yeah.
Pretty goddamn good. That was a solid one. That got me. Yeah.
So for our Halloween fans out there that are looking for a fun-loving Halloween, would we classify this is obviously more comedy than horror, but would you call it a horror comedy? Or
if you take it and, like, this is a real world that actually exists, there are some elements of this movie that are truly horrifying.
Yeah.
The fact that Kenny has a father who just doesn't give a fuck about.
It seems to be pretty clueless too.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, doesn't give a fuck is, you know, maybe that's too strong of a perception there, but just very clueless.
Yeah, like I said, he's the sheriff, and he's literally the last to have a clue. Like, everybody else got a clue, and he's still, well, hold on, everybody. Like, what are you talking about?
Also, another horrifying thing is that this town is just filled with, like, just residents that, like, have no empathy whatsoever. Like, again, when, like, all the townspeople are showing up to the sheriff and saying, like, you got to do something. Like our kids are missing. Like my daughter's missing. Immediately after this woman exclaims, like, my daughter's missing. I don't know where she is. She wouldn't run away like that. And then this other fucking asshole. I would have been surprised. I would have been surprised if it was Tom himself. Comes along like, yeah, and somebody needs to pick up my trash.
Yeah, who's gonna do that? That's the real
I'm
question.
sorry. Yeah, the one policeman in the whole town. Yeah, you know what? As soon as I get done finding all the missing children, Pete, I'm gonna come around and figure out what to do with your extra fucking trash bag.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. There's a handful of people in this town that just need to be fucking ran out as soon as like this. Tom's at the top of the list. The mayor, whoever the fuck needs his trash taken out in the middle of this crisis.
Dude, at the very least, I hope the mayor gave Ernest his job back. At the very least.
I think he did.
Yeah.
Maybe even the teacher that throws a little shade at at the girl who does the report. I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
but
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, yeah, like
yeah.
I wasn't even really meant to be that way. I just thought it was funny. And it's like, how does she word it? And it's like, you know, though Elizabeth's report may have been peculiar. Like, Elizabeth's like, hey, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It may have been peculiar because she's fucking crazy. She's a weird little 7-year-old.
Well, she does say that, like she does that. Myths and legends are part of a town's history.
Yeah, I know, but she's got to throw a little shade on there on top of that. Like, look,
Yeah.
we know that Elizabeth's a little fucking weirdo. I'm right there with you, Murdoch. Same. We get it. I get it.
Dude, I'll tell you the real reason too why Kenny was kind of the hero behind Ernest. There was like the troll like got in his way. The troll like it seemed like Elizabeth was getting a little crush on Kenny. Remember she kissed him on the cheek and he was like all wide-eyed. Next thing you know, she's turned to wood and he was like, how dare you? You got to think they're probably just getting to that age where they're like maybe starting to take an interest. And he's like, so a girl's finally starting to take an interest in me and you turn her into a wood figurine. Like, you got to go down. You got to die. Like, yeah.
Come on, troll. Should be blocking his cock. We should be guiding his cock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, and they never addressed again, right? Like, which I guess, yeah, they're kids, so who gives a shit? But you know, I would have expected it being, you know, more of a '90s trope or whatever that she would be like, "Thanks for saving me" or what have you, you know? Because this is also around the time of Problem Child, you know.
Yeah.
Where that was basically the only thing to make that kid act right was that he needed to, you know, make a girl like him.
Oh yeah, those movies were really over the top.
Yeah, but John Ritter, man,
Yeah.
fantastic.
What other notes did I see in here? I mean, overall, it's a fun watch. I mean, especially if you know, for kids or you know maybe families, like a family Halloween movie.
Yeah, and you know, like again, it's nostalgia, obviously.
There's
us.
certainly a factor of that.
Yeah, because I remember being a child watching this. You know,
Yeah.
every Halloween I'd look forward to it. Up until a certain age, I don't like, you know, before I moved to Springtown, like when I was, you know, because we moved to Springtown when I was 9, going on 10.
Yeah.
But I remember living in Fort Worth and like always be excited for, you know, all the kids Halloween film or lead up to Halloween, and this was obviously at the top of the list. And
Yeah.
you know, it makes me wonder, like obviously, like especially with the dawn of AI and what you know it's doing to make even more CGI effects more you know possible as a thing for people to use at a consumer level. You know, it makes me wonder, you know, if we had gone in a different direction, like what would the practical effects look like now? Because like, you know, they're pretty damn good. The puppetry and the practical effects of this film for like, you know, 91.
For 91 and being a low budget movie, yeah, they're really
That's what I'm
not too
saying,
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I didn't look into it too much. I just noticed that because I was trying to figure out, because the guy had a distinct voice, but he's also doing a very low thing. The guy who voiced the troll, because I was wondering, it's like, oh, is Jim Varney doing that as well?
No, I think it's a different guy.
It's a different guy, and I believe this is the only movie that he's credited for.
Huh. Okay.
So I wonder if he did the well, I don't know. That seems like that'd be a lot to do as well, like the troll and the animatronic stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a dude, and there may have been some animatronics for the face.
I know there's definitely a dude, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like for like the mouth movement and stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah, there was no way that was a full working robot, like because he's literally like.
Oh no
yard,
for sure,
yeah.
for sure. I know it was a guy in a suit, but I'm saying like yeah, when he's talking and all that.
Of course, that's most of the special effects budget right there is creating the troll Tantor. You gotta think there's not a lot else really in the movie. It's not like there's explosions and.
No, it's just that, and like, hey, you know, take these, take some 4x4s and get some varnish, and you know, take it to a 7th grade woodshop class and see if.
Yeah, slap together a tree house, which who knows they may have already found, and just be like, all right, we'll film in that tree right there. It already has one.
No, I was gonna say the which actually that like the stuff they did for the tree house and all that was pretty cool practical effects and
dude, that was sweet. I wanted exactly that one.
The trolls, the trolls coming out of the ground, that was cool shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That seems like that was a whole ordeal, you know.
And Ernest is trying to keep that one down. He's got the lid on it, and they're like, yeah, that was done pretty well.
I mean, it's got to be done with like a pulley system, like lifts and all that stuff, right?
I'm sure that was in a set.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like, what do you think was the rigging of that to get the things to pop out of the ground like that?
Well, I imagine there was probably like I think that was probably like a very trying to think of the right word, detailed indoor set, and so there's probably like space below, and they just make it look like the ground, that basically like a trap door that they're coming out of.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just thinking like it was a hydraulic system, or because I don't want to harp on it too much, but you guys, I've worked on a few sets in my day, and you know, we've done some weird stuff to for product placement, you know, contraptions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But nothing really. I haven't worked on too many things that had like that kind of elaborate setup on a practical effects level, you know. It's pretty cool to see, man. You know, it just made me nostalgic for that as well. And Eartha Kitt, which once again,
did a good job.
Fantastic. How old is she supposed to be in this fucking movie? Because
I thought of that too. Like,
is she supposed to be like the kid? One of the kids in the beginning of the did we see her in the intro scene? Like as a young child?
Maybe she was. My thought is maybe also Magic. I guess she's still alive just for the magic.
I mean, that is probably the most, God help me, logical answer.
Because they saying
I mean, we're talking
like
about a movie with trolls and shit, so.
Because they were saying it was like Ernest's great-great-grandfather, and then there was another point where they say, isn't he like the 7th child of the 7th, you know, grandson or something along those lines? It's like, so I'm picturing multiple generations have passed.
Right, yeah, and like they're all dressed like it's like of the Salem witch trials era, right? And then so like when she like. What I didn't make it to the last half of the movie this time around. Was it like her siblings that came back, or was it her parents?
They were kids that came back, so I don't know if they were siblings.
I think they were supposed to be siblings.
Or they might have been like nieces and nephews, because did they call her aunt?
Did they?
I don't
remember. But I just remember just like thinking like, oh, so that like that because like Eartha Kitt's supposed to be an old lady in this film, but like. There's no way she could have been like born before like, you know, fucking 1910. Like anything past that is like not believable.
Yeah,
but again, as you say,
she would have been
magic.
Like, yeah, she still would have been like 80. I mean, we could go ahead and give the movie some credit and say, okay, she's supposed to be playing a character that's 80, but
let's face it too, like even though she is, you know, at an older age in Hollywood terms, this is still like Eartha Kitt, like it's just mostly makeup. Eartha Kitt is still moving around very swift. She's very spry in this film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's bouncing around all over the place. You know, doing great little monologues, and you know, doing just really great character work, like with her body, like just this the physicality of her characters. Is just her. Yeah, she goes toe to toe with Jim Varney.
Did it say in the movie?
Very long.
Sorry.
What?
Did it say in the movie how much time had passed? Because I'm reading on IMDb or Wikipedia, and it says that Ernest was supposed to be 100 years later after the Trantor was sealed. So there's no way she would be 100 years old. Or it's
no. Well,
I guess it's not impossible, but it's extremely unlikely.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with magic once again and lack of them looking into the period, because that doesn't, like, the way they were dressed was not of the even of like 1890s period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it definitely looked like they just fucking showed up off of the Mayflower.
Yeah.
Like, but honestly, because I just watched it like, you know, about an hour ago, that at least the beginning first part of it. I think it just said Briarsville earlier. I think it just said I think it just said Briarsville the past. I don't know that it actually said like a year or anything like that.
Yeah, see, I didn't see a year.
Yeah. But now I'm trying to remember how they even worded it. I think it was just Briarsville a long time ago, I think is what it said. Yeah. And probably in parentheses, also magic. Fuck you, who cares?
That's my thought. Dude, and can you imagine those kids? Because the ones that he turned into wooden figurines.
Those kids that are now 40 worrying about if they're going to be able to pay for their mortgage.
Well, no, sorry. I'm saying the kids that Trantor turned into like figurines hundreds of years ago, however long it's supposed to be, when they finally defeated him once and for all at the end, they were released. So all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, yeah, these are called cars. This is called electricity. Like, yeah, this is the world now. Like, yeah.
That should have been how they like did like a long a long tracking shot, you know, like of Eartha Kitt telling her two young siblings of like, so everyone you know is dead.
Yeah, except me, because magic.
Yeah, but everyone thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like everything you know about life is just not that anymore. And you were saved by a guy who has like 9 different personalities.
Yeah, because here it's saying everyone was released, and this says even those from the early 19th century. So if it's the early 19th century, we're talking over 100 years, like 100, like closer to 200 years have passed.
Yeah, and that guy with the hat who started the slow clap, he may seem friendly. Stay the fuck away from Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, don't give him any money. Yeah,
he's such a shyster in this film, man.
Yeah,
like, because I didn't place that it was different from Chuck, because I was like, I remember that, like, damn, when did they go from? Because I didn't really pinpoint which came first. Ernest Goes to Jail. Ernest Scared Stupid is definitely not the first one.
No, Ernest Goes to Jail came before this one.
Okay, I was gonna say, because like I was like, maybe this started first and like this happened. Like, I'm clearly thinking too much into it. Like, again, thinking that Tom and Chuck are the same person. Like, because like what I just remember Chuck being overly friendly. It's like, when did he go from being a swindling piece of shit to being like, we'll do anything for Ernest? Like,
Chuck was in.
Yeah. Oh, you have trolls? I got troll spray for you.
This is the first movie without Chuck. He was in the previous 3, although in the first movie, Ernest Goes to Camp, it's the same actor, but he plays a character named Jack, and he's one of the camp cooks, along with Bobby, who's still supposed to be his brother. But it's the same actor.
We're gonna just, you know, say that Jack's his middle name.
Yeah, and then in the next 2 movies, he's Chuck, and then in this one, he's not there at all. We get Tom.
What's the Chuck drama, you think?
What's the what?
What's the Chuck drama?
I don't know. Maybe Chuck moved on, or maybe Bobby had a greedy streak and decided to go into business with Tom and rip all the citizens of this nice little town out of their money.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe Chuck's buried in the backyard.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can think of is, and of course I know I've seen the guy who plays Tom and some other stuff as well, but Chuck is definitely a character actor. Like I've seen him in a lot of other things other than the Ernest film.
Yeah, he's actually a really good actor too. It's Gaylord Sartain is his name.
Well, I mean, look, I'm giving this shit or giving the character shit, but I honestly, they were a delight. The
Yeah.
guy who plays Bobby
Yeah.
does a great job of doing what he does of being basically like the silent, teller and like just kind of chiming in with little one-liners or whatever to
Mhm.
Tom's shystiness,
Yeah.
which is again, it was like it just kind of hit like, oh, A2, Bobby, A2.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. How did he have all that troll stuff just ready?
It's the mark of a good con man, John.
I guess. Yeah. He's ready for anything.
Yeah. You know what makes a good con man? Always have unlabeled bottles around
Yeah.
and a slow clap ready.
Dude, honestly, the trolls in this movie, it kind of goes back to the practical effects you're saying. They are kind of scary. Like, especially if you're
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah. Scariest troll of all? Tom.
Tom, yeah. He may not be scary to you now, kids. That's the part for adults. This is a
Yeah.
family movie. The trolls scare the kids and Tom scares the parents.
Tom is the real life perceivable real life troll.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's a way to defeat the troll. Tom, it's much harder. Like guys like
Yeah.
that somehow just keep swindling and keep swindling.
I mean, I could not think of like a better term for our modern day version of the slang of a troll other than Tom. If Tom was, around today with the age of the internet, I can't help but think that he would be trolling some motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, those are the kind of guys that would be running like internet scams.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure
Yeah.
those guys are above trolling.
Or they're the ones that would have all the advertisements on YouTube, like buy my program to figure out,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then anyone who gives them a negative comment, he just trolls them.
yeah, he just trolls them. You're really latching on to the word troll.
I am.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a fine movie. It wasn't really my favorite Halloween film, but I have a soft spot for Jim Varney. And more
Yeah.
importantly, my man, I know that it's one of your favorites, and
I'm
I
just
don't
a big Ernest fan. Like
Yeah.
like of the Ernest movies, like I said, this one's not my favorite, but just I don't know. There'll just never be another Ernest, another Jim Varney. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and also every once in a while, when you say like a movie that it's like just reeks so much of like a John Sorrells film, like it's like I gotta let him have that one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's as much as I like to kind of steer the ship. It's good. It's good to have a co-captain on board here, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no
thumbs
problemo.
up for
When it comes to Ernest, I don't joke around a lot. Actually, I have a book I've been trying to read, and I'm not disciplined enough to keep it going. But it's called The Importance of Being Earnest, and it's a biography of Jim Varney written by his nephew.
Does it have any pictures?
It does actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. Oh, this is you told me about this before. Isn't his nephew trying to get the series back up, and he wants to play Ernest?
I'm not sure about that, but that might be kind of cool. Of course,
I think
I don't know.
that's-
Part of me thinks Ernest just needs to I don't think you're going to be able to replace Jim Varney.
No, I mean, unless it's Brian Hickey.
Now, I wouldn't be against maybe like a biography movie where some guy is playing Jim Varney who is then doing Ernest, like kind of like
Yeah.
they did there was a Three Stooges biopic from like 2000 that was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I wouldn't mind a movie like that.
I mean, you can think about it. My life, I kind of am like if Ernest and Oscar the Grouch fucked and had a baby.
Ernest and Oscar? That's a weird combination.
Well, I mean, we just discovered he's open to figuring out his sexuality. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, we know Oscar's a grouch, but he's always in that trash can. I don't know if he's got penis or vagina. I'm gonna say.
Wow, I didn't know this. Ernest won Jim Varney won a daytime Emmy Award for the Ernest TV show.
I mean, daytime Emmys. All right, I was about to shit on him, but you know what? this asshole speaking right now has no Emmys whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from my understanding, from someone I worked for in the past, they're not as difficult to achieve a daytime Emmy as for a the Emmys, that are the awards that are televised.
I didn't
But
realize
it's still-
they were different.
Well, I mean, different categories, right? It's just like these are the one you don't see anybody going up at the Emmys, the televised Emmys, for going up with an acceptance speech for thank you for this daytime Emmy for my segment on PBS, what have you. Not to say that those people don't make quality content that win daytime Emmys. Carl Crum makes some fantastic docuseries.
So something else I noticed in your notes here, I'm glad you noticed because I noticed it too. The Rimshot figurine looked unfinished.
Yeah, that's kind of where
It was just kind of like I was looking. I was like, "Is that a dog?" It was kind of just like a block of wood. Like you could kind of see where the paws were, but
yeah, I think they were just kind of in a hurry. Like, we got to make our day, man. We got to make our day.
Yeah, it's like
Woodwiller. Yeah, there's Jeb the Woodwiller. Like, hey, I'm trying to go as fast as I can.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, we're on a schedule here. The studio's not going to give us any more time. Like,
Jeb, we're at OT now. We got to go. Oh, well, just fuck me and fuck Art, right, feller? Yeah. Oh, you done it again, Jeb. You had to go work in a non-union shoot, and no one appreciates what you do. Tarnation, I'm out of here.
Oh, and to answer your question here, is the demon getting stronger to she wrote? No, he collected enough figurines is what it was. Because you remember Eartha Kitt said that's how he gets his power?
Yeah, but I feel like, okay, so for the listener and viewer, John is going back and reading the notes that I sent and shared with him. And I made a note that the demon in the last act of the film starts to get stronger. But I feel like that happened. Like, yes, he had got all of his power, and then he had his little spawnlings, right? But then he started to get stronger after all the kids died, right? I mean, all of his troll kids died, right?
Well, they were in the process of dying, yeah.
And then also, therefore, his troll wood kid chillins, were becoming human again, which also I thought was hilarious when Kenny, basically just came back to being a human, back in the exact position that he was frozen, like wood frozen into a troll.
Yeah.
Like, the more morbid thing that's going to happen, if that's the logic of what happens, you just go back into being a human in the exact shape you were frozen at. There's like 9 to 10 kids.
I thought of that same thing. They're all just stuck in that like cubby hole of the tree.
It's just gonna be like just a gumbo of children body parts just meshed inside of a tree trunk.
Something else I thought of is like, what if you cut that tree down or burned it?
Yeah. Well, okay. So, anyways, that was like, the logic of that was like, oh, well, that's horrifying to think about. If that was the real logic of like, it's just children limbs and screams, and that's it. Like within 2 seconds, you're gonna. What was that? Death. That's what.
Maybe that's the true troll's curse. Is once you defeat him, it's like, but you'll never get your children back.
Yeah. So my point being though, is that's all occurring. The kids are, becoming human again, but then he gets stronger. So how is he getting more strength when his powers are
the kids weren't restored until Tantor was defeated?
Was that the case?
Yeah.
I thought,
and that was after Ernest showed him the love of a child or whatever.
So Kenny was still a wooden child until Ernest gave him gave the Tantor some smooches.
Yeah.
And, some love.
Dude, and Ernest's perfect that he does this in several movies that like right after he kissed the troll.
Did Jim Varney have any children?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Because obviously his nephew is writing this book about him. But, and again, very charismatic guy. But like, I gotta imagine like that's gotta That's gonna be a fun thing to drop on a lady at like as you're climaxing. Like, oh God, Jim, get out of me now.
Yeah, Justin Lloyd, his nephew. But I'm not seeing. Apparently the director of the movie is Cherry released a Varney biography called Keeper of the Clown. Huh.
Oh well, we should have looked into that. So we could.
Whoa, this would be cool. I hope it gets released. As of 2022, director David Pagano and Ernest Goes to Camp cast member Daniel Butler are planning to release a documentary about Varney called The Importance of Being Earnest.
This is based off of the book that you're.
I guess so, yeah. But that'd be pretty cool.
So I'm gonna have to assume that Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest is just public domain. So how the fuck are they getting away with using the title?
Well, my guess is it's different spelling. That type of earnest is like honesty, and that's EAR.
No, I don't think it is, because I think that is the play on words. Is because the character, they're all the men in that, both the men in the play are saying that they're earnest. It's a play on words, so I don't think I think it is spelled like the name. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it is. When you look it up, the Oscar Wilde one is EAR, but the one obviously about Jim Varney is spelled like the name ERN. Yeah, there's no A.
Interesting.
So my guess is
it's a good joke there, Mr. Wilde.
Well, maybe that's also in the Creative Commons now. I mean, that play was from 1895.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe that is in the public domain. I don't know.
Maybe.
Speaking of which, something too that I think is a great example. Everything we said about Jim Varney's character work and all is, he was like a thespian, like a classically trained actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very impressive to me.
I mean, it's so obvious, man. Like,
yeah,
the way that he does his, his great grandfather or whatever the character is, in the beginning from the, Salem witch trial, like just the whole, yeah, it's very, very much a persona of stuff you'd learn in acting for theater.
Yeah, well, and I think that's like a lot of like what he does, like his facial expressions are really exaggerated and over the top. It's like it's very much like
well, you're playing to the back row.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like more like theatrically trained acting. Like
yeah, but I mean, again, yes, I think he's the man can do anything.
Yeah,
I think as far as acting goes. R.I.P. R.I.P.
But for anyone watching, I would highly recommend watch this movie, especially if you have kids. Pass on the joy of Ernest.
What's your rating? How many stars?
Ooh, what, out of 5 or out of?
Yeah, out of 5.
Yeah. It's hard to say because there is some degree of nostalgia glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, looking at it this way, like if Ernest Saves Chris is my favorite, I would have to give that one a 5 out of 5. So if that's the case, I'm going to have to go like 3 out of 5 on this one.
3 out of 5. I'm going to give it 2.5.
Yeah.
The half is because, if you have a good buddy who's all about it, dresses up as the son of a bitch for, Halloween, it's going to grow on you.
I'll have to dig up. I know there's a photo of me in that costume somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think that. Oh, yes, I do. I want to say, how come nobody in this town had a gun? Could you have shot the troll? They did, but it's like nobody used it.
Again, John, clearly missed it. The mayor and the sheriff were so fucking horny for fucking power. They were probably in cohorts with Tom. That's probably why he showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Just to help keep the people in line. Because who has all the power, hearsay over all the jobs in the whole city?
Yeah.
I mean, the sheriff is making decisions of the employment status of the municipal waste employees.
Yeah. You're right. That is like major like corruption. Like, yeah.
I'm not surprised to hear he's the only one in town with a gun.
Yeah, because that did make me think it'd be funny, like I was saying earlier, if you just lit the tree on fire, cut it down, and so that went back to the, like, it's like Ernest Scared Stupid, starring Charles Bronson as Ernest, doing that again. Yeah. And he's sitting there like, hey, Tantor, He was like, shove this in your cubby hole. And like got like a 44 Magnum, just shoots him.
Yeah. Has he? I gotta assume that he has. I would imagine he does a great Charles Bronson as well, because he does great.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah. Have you ever looked up any of Jim Varney's like stand-up work, like before he was acting?
I had no idea he did stand up.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'll have to check that out, man.
Yeah.
You got to tell me these things before we start recording.
Well, I just thought of it.
This is why we need.
I know him and Robin Williams were actually close friends because they were both performing at was it the Comedy Store or one of those around that time?
This is good quality content. We could have brought this to the table, brother.
Yeah, here's the thing on YouTube. Comic Relief behind the scenes, stand-up comedy. It's him and Robin Williams sitting there joking around together.
Okay, what's that called? What's the title of that video?
Comic Relief behind the scenes, stand-up comedy. The stupid thing's in the way. Yeah, it says stand-up comedy Robin Williams.
Okay, so I'm assuming you typed in the search bar Jim Varney, Robin Williams, and this kind of showed up? Or?
Yeah, it just came up. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody check that out. I'm definitely going to check that out.
It's only a couple minutes long, but it's kind of cool to just see them together. He's dressed as Ernest, of course, for whatever the reason was.
That's fantastic, man. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Any other earth-shattering information you're going to want to lend to us as we're getting ready to wrap up here?
I'm trying to remember where it was that they were performing together at the time, what the comedy club was.
Was this this is in the 90s or what?
Oh, 89. I guess that was the name of the event they were at. Comic Relief. Jim Varney and Robin Williams. Comic Relief, 1989.
Yeah, I wonder where the because the Comic Relief, they do that every year. I don't know where we're at though.
And then someone here on Reddit, there's a clip of it, and someone commented, Ernest saves Jumanji. Yeah. But yeah, basically they both were like, when they were both coming up, like stand up, like they were friends. So there's some fun facts about Jim Varney to top off the episode.
There you go.
And that's Robin awesome. Williams.
It's fantastic. Thank you all for joining us. Please tune in for us come Christmas time. As I do believe John and I have decided that we are going to make it a very special bonus Christmas episode where we're going to review the Christmas classic Lethal Weapon, which I am looking forward to that.
And I would also like to if anyone would like to weigh in, the battle between honorary Christmas action movies, Lethal Weapon or Die Hard, which is your preferred? Think about it. You don't have to answer now.
I think they're both great, but I also think the reason, just for the same reason that we chose this rather than Friday the 13th, everyone's reviews Die Hard as the Christmas film.
Yeah.
Not as many people are given Lethal Weapon as much it's due.
I very much agree.
Some people are, but we're going to be...
we're going to be trendsetters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. Just strap in for that, folks. Check us out on all the podcasting platforms. You can find us on YouTube. And we are at bigboyspodspot.com. Thanks again.
And good night.
Well, how about that for a bonus Halloween episode there, dear listener? Yes, I hope we scared the stupid right out of you. It's what Ernest would have wanted. It's what the great and the late Jim Varney would have wanted. 'Tis the season for winning. I said it once, and I said it again. Did I understand what it meant either way? I did not. Sometimes I just flap my mouth and words come out, thank God. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to understand exactly what I meant to say with the gibberish that comes out of my mouth. I have the gift of gab at times, and other times it's just flab. But when I gab my flab, I like to think that's where the real magic happens, dear listener. And we thank you for tuning into it. And we wish you the merriest of Halloweens. We hope you have a very spooky 31st. And it's filled with candy and costumes and creepy calligraphy. Ooh, because it's words in a weird font. It's what makes it more of the Halloween season. So we hope you will also get to enjoy that as well. Just have yourself a happy Halloween. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Hey. Happy Halloween. You know what I mean. And please do prepare to tune in with us here in a couple months where we will be celebrating Christmas with the great film known as none other than The Lethal Weapon. Oh, it's gonna be a real treat. It's gonna be a real treat. No tricks, because it's gonna be Christmas time. But it's gonna be all treat, as we hope this was a treat for you as well. And with closing, as always, I'd like to say, Como se llama hermana? Lo siento, Palapinto. Good night, all my North Texans. And sweet dreams, all my fellow Angelinos. And to everyone else in between. God dog it, hot dingity ding. You know what I mean. Happy Halloween. For this has been another episode of the Big Boys Podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Big Boys is a podcast produced by Not So Funny or Proud Productions. The team consists of co-hosts, co-producers, and co-editors Brian Hickey and John Sorrells, better known as John the Great. For more information about the duo or this show, please visit us at bigboyspodspot.com. Or feel free to take a gander at our production page, notsofunnyorproud.com. Look us up on social media and follow us at Big Boys Podspot. New episodes drop every Thursday on every popular podcast hosting platform known to man. So please be sure to like, subscribe, vibe, describe, contrive, confide, collide, abide, preside, tell your tribe, and most importantly, do prescribe. Me and Elixir for talking out the side of my neck.